you.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
You did. All right. What's your name?
I'm Varun.
Varun. Nice to meet you, Renata.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Bye,
Oh
honey.
yeah,
In
you too.
person.
Okay, guys, this is going to be tons of fun.
Tons of fun. Yeah.
Seriously, this is an awesome class. This is a really good class. I'm fairly convinced that it's pretty much the fastest way to progress. It's a hard class. It's 3 months, and we get into some really good stuff. People who get through this, actually, you just sat through the advanced class. Is that advanced or is that advanced?
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, interestingly enough, it's really simple.
Uh-huh. It is.
But like you said, it's
logical.
It's the nuances that I was really interested to hear you talk about, like the difference between an intermediate player and an expert player, and it's the nuances, and but like just being able to rattle off the numbers and the chords and the theory and all of that.
We're gonna get that in this class.
Yeah, it's
for
fantastic.
sure. It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. This is the NYC Guitar Group Intermediate Class number 1. Yep. And so what I'd like to do real quick is let's go around and let's give names so you guys can meet your classmates and I can meet you as well. So can we start over here and we'll go kind of like snake around towards the back?
I am Crystal Gaynor.
What borough are you from? You can say that too.
I am from New Jersey.
Jersey.
From
Sixth
Newark,
borough.
New Jersey, yeah. And I saw you on Meetup. I Googled, I just put in Meetup guitar groups and this came up.
Cool.
And then I looked at your video and I was like, yeah, this is it. This
Cool.
is really awesome. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm so excited.
Cool. Yeah, it's going to be a fun class.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Okay.
You guys got to practice
I
it.
believe you.
So, and you?
My name is Juan. I'm from Mexico. I live in the U.S. for 5 years now.
Cool.
And I came to one of the workshops. And decided to take this.
Cool.
Awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Varun. Let's see, I've been playing for a year and a half, mostly off of YouTube. Figured I could use some more structured learning. And I'm pretty new to New York. I live in Upper West Side, but I'm from California.
I'm Gary. I live on the Upper West Side as well. I've been playing since I'm 9 years old, but I think I stopped learning at about 16. I'm excited to be here too.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I live in Jersey City. I'm sort of a beginner, so this might be advanced, but I'm going to work really hard.
All right. Cool. I remember you. I've seen you all over with the classes and stuff, so good to see you.
Yeah, he's a good teacher.
Yeah, that's great.
My name's Linda. I'm in the same category as Gary. I've been playing since about 12.
Okay.
But I just play.
All right.
I can play anything, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I want to learn how to I want to learn theory and be able to sit in without using my ear,
Yep.
which is sometimes a hindrance because I have a good ear and it stops me from learning.
Yep. So you have some good musical, natural musical ability. So I think that learning the logic behind the music is it's just gonna augment your skill, for sure. Because I think both are great. I don't think one is better or worse than the other, but I think both are important. Using your ear and the theory is like playing with 2 hands. But if you use only one, it really limits your ability. So you're at the right place. I think this will be good for you. So cool. And then how you doing?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I bought a guitar 2 or 3 years ago, and I took some private lessons with Bo about a year and a half ago. And I've been coming to some of the workshops. It's been a while. I put down my guitar to do some volunteer work, but I'm back, and I still love it very much. So, yeah.
Did you get to practice over the last year or so? Have you picked it up at all?
I
A little bit?
have, but I haven't really, keep on moving a lot forward. I think in terms of music theory, I've gained a lot of knowledge, but I haven't done a lot of practice because I was moving a lot and I didn't have any guitar with me. So by
Good to see you again.
Hi, I'm Gloria. I live in Florida, mostly work and live in downtown. I went to the free workshop maybe like end of last year. And then I took the beginner class, and now I'm in the senior class. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up with y'all.
You don't have to catch up. You're doing well, and you're a pianist too.
Yeah, I have some old knowledge from back in the day.
Me too. Me too. I was forced to take piano lessons when I was a kid. So, yeah. All right, and you're next. And so, why don't you give your name and the borough that you're from?
Hi, I'm Anthony. I live in Queens. What else would you like to know?
That's it. Perfect. Good to see you. Cool, guys. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's get going. Go to page 2. And this is kind of some 12 big goals that we're going to try to kind of push towards during this class. We're not going to be able to get into all of them, but most of them. When it says advanced, that means like we definitely get into the advanced class. But if we move along quickly enough, we may be able to get into it in this class. But these are some really, really good things. Number 1, ditties. We're going to learn this thing called ditties. And ditties are really cool. It's just the name that I gave for those who are, when you're playing.
I did try that last night.
Ditties, yeah.
It's the best thing.
That stuff. Now, some of you might have already tried that on your own, but do you know exactly what's going on? And that's the thing. We want to understand exactly what notes are available to us. We want to know all the notes that are available to us and why they're available. So if you're playing a song that happens to be in the key of G, well, what notes are available to do all those ditties on? Well, we can learn that. And it's very logical. It's not hard. We'll get there eventually. So those are ditties. Bar chords. A lot of you guys probably have gotten into bar chords, but we want to be, in the intermediate level, you want to get to the point where you know them well. So if I said play a C sharp minor, should be able to get to that pretty quick, right? Okay? We're not going to spend a lot of time on bar chords, but we're going to briefly go over it just to make sure we really understand what's going on with that. Next, you see how it says the 4-second club. We're going to learn some lead guitar stuff for soloing. So that will entail playing, let's say, the pentatonic scale like this. And so forth. And what I want you to do is learn these scales and then also do it so fast that you can go down and up like that in less than 4 seconds. So that's 23 notes in less than 4 seconds. And so I want you to be able to do that. And then when you can get under 4 seconds, that means you're in the 4-second club. Okay? But there'll be 5 patterns going up your neck that you have to get under 4 seconds. So when you get to that level, that speed, your lead is going to sound very good. You'll be able to actually do guitar solos that actually sound really nice. And then if you get that down, then the next thing is to get it under 3 seconds, which is, it's pretty fast. You got to really get fast. And that's not something that's required for this particular class. But I'd say let's shoot to get as fast as possible, because that'll sound really good. There's a couple chairs back there, and then there's some more stands over there. Yeah. So we're going to get into the most important thing that you could ever learn about music, and that is music theory. Okay? That is going to be so incredibly important. And then we're going to get into, go down a couple, capo theory. You guys know how to use capos at all?
don't quite understand what I know what they do, but I don't understand how they do what.
The logic of it, yeah.
The logic of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll learn about capo theory, and a couple other things. Go down towards the bottom. You see broken rule theory. When you write songs, you'll typically write a song in a key, but there are some unique ways that we break the rules. Anthony, you have to wait to do your tuning either before or after, maybe when we're playing or something like that, right? Cool. Thanks. Broken rule theory. Typically, songwriters will write in a key. But there are very unique ways that rules will be broken to get very cool sounds. Okay, let me give you an example. In the key of G, and we'll learn this soon, we'll talk about theory, but you can play a G chord. E minor chord. C. Those three chords are in the key of G and they sound great. There's your E minor again. Here's your C. Now listen to this. I played a C minor. Now, C minor is not actually in the key of G, but I thought that sounded good, right? So what we're going to do is we'll learn the theory rules, the way that they, it actually works, and then we're going to learn the 5 or 6 ways that songwriters break the rules. In very specific ways they break the rules. And every time you break the rule in a certain way, it gives a specific sound. And so you're going to learn some really cool things that you can do when you're songwriting. Okay? And then finally, performance. I want you guys to do some performing in this class. Not necessarily in here, but I want you to go out and try some open mics and stuff and try to get out there a little bit. That'd be fun. All right? So, let's go ahead, and I think what we'll do is we'll kind of...
Do you have an extra packet? This one isn't...
Does it say intermediate?
No, this is the Advanced Performance Masterclass.
Okay. Did you talk to Renata when you came in? And did you get a packet?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
cool.
on the table.
Anthony, do you know Renata, my wife?
Yes.
Can you go talk to her out there real quick? Yeah, and she'll have extra. Okay. So now let's go ahead and let's look at our homework on page 3. This is what we're going to do for this week. That will remain. We don't need to talk about it now because if you read this over, you wouldn't even understand what it means until we talk about it. But this is your homework for the week. Okay? So make sure when you go home, you refer back to page 3, and that will tell you what you're supposed to be working on. Okay. I'd like to flip to page 5. Let's go to page 5. And these are just some good rhythms that I think any intermediate player should know. And so what it is, the first 2 rhythms, you see this one, number 1 and number 2. These are 8-stroke rhythms. And so what that means is there's 8 hand motions in these rhythms. Let's look at the top one. 8 arrows, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That represents your hand moving. And then what you're going to do is you're only going to hit where the dots are. Okay? And so for those of you who came out of the beginner class, you already know this one. But how would that sound if we followed that pattern right there? Can anyone try that one real quick?
First time.
You want to try it? What was your name again? Okay, Linda's going to try it real quick. Linda, let's listen. Close. Very close. So what you'll do is you want to keep the hand moving down and up consistently. Okay? So down, up, 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 down, up. But you want to, kind of play that rhythm. And so what it would sound like would be down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Gloria, can you play that real quick? Because you learned this in the beginner class. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And it's a really nice rhythm. Can you try that? So let's play a G chord. Down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down. Down, down, up, down, up. I think that's a solid rhythm, and when I play songs, it's a very common rhythm to use. Nice rhythm, right? Pretty basic, but it sounds really nice. Now, beginners kind of just strum all 6 strings, you know, but intermediate players, what you'll do is at the first hit of the measure, you're just going to hit the bass note. So listen to this. Watch my hand when I play this, and it sounds a little better than just strumming all 6 strings at all times. Watch this. What do you notice?
So root note first.
So what?
Just the root note first.
Root note first, right? And then I miss. I have to do a miss after that, right? And then I go down and I start strumming. And what did you notice about the strings that I was strumming on the rest of it? Let's watch it. Ready? Bottom 3. Okay? And I think that sounds more professional. And actually, what I like to do, watch this. I hit that first note. I might hit like 4 strings, and then the rest of the time I'm doing 3. And this sounds better than hitting all 6 strings. Watch this, ready? That doesn't sound bad, but it just doesn't quite sound professional. I think this other way sounds a little more professional, right? I'm going to C. Okay, so what you want to do is take your pen right now, and I want you to put a little lightning bolt underneath that first dot.
If I had a pen, I would take it out.
You can borrow. I need it back. It's my favorite.
Okay. What are we doing here?
Draw a lightning bolt underneath that first dot. And what that represents is I want you to hit the bass note, and I want you to give it a little extra oomph. Okay? If I was standing in another room, I would want to be able to hear only your bass note. So your bass note is at this level of volume, and the rest of your rhythm is at a lower level, right? So we can go like this. How does that sound? Okay? And that's a concept that we're going to learn to just make our rhythm sound a little more professional. Now let's go to the second one. The second rhythm is it's an 8-stroke rhythm, and it uses a lot of upstrokes, and so it's going to feel awkward to some of you guys because you're not used to focusing primarily on the upstrokes. It's a little bit like reggae. But they would kind of jump it a little bit. You know? So let's try that real quick. And I think it's good to get used to a little bit, sometimes doing a little bit more upstrokes. Okay? So let's try that. So it's going to be down, up, 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 down, up, up, up. Yeah? Jessica?
For those of us that it's easier to hear it.
Yeah,
Also,
I can play. Yep, absolutely. So it'll be like this. And again, correct rhythm playing. Okay, if you're playing rhythm correctly, you will not do this. You won't go. You see, there's nothing flowing about that. Correct rhythm keeps the hand moving consistently. Now watch this. See all the different rhythms I can get while keeping a hand pumping consistently? It's something that you want to learn, that consistent hand movement. And so all the charts that I give you, it shows the arrows going down and up and down and up, right? So let's try this rhythm now. We can try it with G. Down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down. E minor. A good rhythm, and these are the easy ones, okay? So we just got the easy ones down. This next one is I think it's the best rhythm in the world. Number 3, I think, is the best rhythm in the world, and it's 16 strokes. And so it will not come immediately. For almost all of us, we'll need to practice this at home, maybe a good half an hour. What you can do, because it's so long, is you can cover up the second half of it and just do the first 8 arrows. Work on that, and then you can look into the rest of it. And here's what it sounds like. And by the way, guys, we're recording this so that Renata will actually send this video, a link to this video out, so you can rewatch all of this. So if you need to go back and practice any of it, or hear me playing the rhythms, you can totally do that, okay? So, and actually, just so you know, we're 21 minutes and 48 seconds into it. So if you want to know where I'm playing this rhythm, you can write that down. Here's how it goes. Ready? This rhythm. So this will be hard. For a lot of you guys, you'll need to go home and you'll need to work it out very slowly. It'll start mechanical. It'll very mechanical and robotic. That sounds pretty good. It was Linda, right? Can you play that again? Good. You have a good ear for copying rhythms.
I do this all the time.
Cool. You do that rhythm all the time?
I can play anything. I just don't know what I'm doing.
Cool. Yeah, it's a really good rhythm. And so when you play it, I like also for you guys to put a little stress beat on the first hit. You notice that I was doing that? Okay, and there's one other area I'd like you to stress, okay? I'd like you to stress this first hit. Bum, 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 bum. The next downstroke that has a dot underneath it. I want you to stress that as well. Okay, so listen to how that sounds. I'll mute my strings. Bum, bum. See that? And those little subtle stress beats in your rhythm, it has an impact on the professionalism of your sound. And so we want to think about that a little bit. This next rhythm, number 4, I think is fantastic. And it's a cool sounding rhythm. I don't use this rhythm that much, but I do use it periodically, and it's excellent sounding rhythm. Sounds like this. Notice my hand. It's pumping consistently. It's moving all the time, just like that. If you were to plug your ears and you were just to watch my hand moving, what would you notice? Never stops. da 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 da, and I get all the rhythms that I want just by hitting sometimes and missing sometimes, you know? Okay, and the last one, we're just going to work on those first four. I think those would be the ones that I'd like you to work on. And it's incredibly important for you guys in this intermediate level to become good rhythm players. It really is, because you can get very good at lead playing and all this other stuff. If you can't play rhythm, nobody's gonna, you're not gonna be a great guitarist. So that's why it's worth taking time to invest into the rhythm work. Okay? So we'll continue to work on this, but let's add that as some homework. Okay? So if you want, you can even go back to page 3 and you can write that in as homework as well. Page 3 is where we can jot in all the things that you'll want to be practicing. Page 6 is a song. Check that out. And you can practice your first rhythm on page 6. If you need to, have a song to practice that with. So when you get to page 6, write down rhythm 1, and what it is it'll tell you the chords, and then it'll have a number next to it. If it's like C, it says G, 2. 2 tells you to do 2 rhythms on that. All right? Then you go to the E minor and you do 2 rhythms on it, and you can just practice that song. If you want. If you don't know the song, just go to YouTube and you can learn the song that way. To hear it. All right, go to page 7. All right.
You said 2 rhythms, you do 2 measures, or?
Yeah, that's exactly. So 2 of those 8-stroke rhythms you can do on it. Yeah. All right. Linda, can you play G, C, D, E minor and just kind of jam a little bit like that?
What,
Just-
blues?
Just nice rhythm. Yeah, that's fine.
What, G,
G, C, D.
Just any order that you want. G, C, D, E minor. Okay, what am I doing here?
You're going up and down the scale.
Yes.
It's the last thing I learned 40 years ago.
All right. Well, you can relearn it today too. That'll be
Absolutely.
So look at page 7. I didn't hit any notes that were not on page 7. Okay. So what this is? You've heard of a major scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The pentatonic. How many different notes are there in a major scale?
7.
There is technically 7. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1 and 8 are the same. They're an octave apart. So they're going to be the same letter name. So there's actually only 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different notes. Pentatonic scale doesn't use 7 notes. What does the word penti mean?
5.
5. So it only uses 5 notes. So what it does is and I would like you to just take some notes on this too as we're talking about this, then you can understand it. What the pentatonic scale does is it throws out the 4th note and the 7th note. Hold on. It throws out the 4s and it throws out the 7s, and what remains sounds like this. Okay? So it sounds a little bit more rock and roll or blues. And so what we're going to do in this class is you're going to learn 2 scales. In my opinion, there's only 2 scales you ever have to learn in your entire life. It's the pentatonic scale and it's the major scale. Now this is the pentatonic scale. And you know what's really cool is that the major scale is not going to be that much different than the pentatonic scale.
Well, got a quick question on
Yeah.
that. When you say the only two scales you need, is that all genres or one specific genre, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I think there's no need to ever learn any other scales. There are some exotic scales out there that you really no one's ever going to use. You could play 1,000 songs and never use it, right? So we're going to learn each one of those. We're going to start with the pentatonic first and get it down really well. And then we're going to go later on, maybe a month down the road, we'll get into the major scale. Was Renata out there? Yeah, you need to find Renata because she's the one who's got the... she's got... Oh, is it out there on the desk? Okay, cool. Cool.
Just knowing that there's no fourth and seven, and you can visualize it.
Yes.
You see it, that makes so much sense.
Definitely.
No one's ever said that.
It's the only difference. Now, who feels like they've learned parts of the pentatonic scale before? And you probably learned that part. Am I right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the.
Okay. Everybody does, and they don't know how to use it though. That's the problem. And we need to learn the logic behind it. Okay? There are 5 sections. Say that. 5 sections. And here's what they look like. Okay? To the left of my hand, you see that part right there? That's section 1.
That's
Yeah, and what I did is I put it on the next page. I separated it for you. That's section 1. The next page after that, page 9, is section 2. Page 10 is section 3. Page 11 is not section 4. There's no section 4. There's a section 5 and then a section 6.
And this allows you to go up the neck?
Yeah, this will allow you to go all the way up and down the neck. Now, why do you think there's no section 4? Well, the reason that we give the names those numbers is not just because we're learning section 1 first. I didn't name this section 1 because it's the first section you're learning. I named it section 1 because you have to start it on the first note of the scale. Okay? So if you want to play in the key of G, you have to start that section on a G. Okay? Let's play it real quick. Go to page...
Oh, that hurts.
Go to page 8. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. You're going to start with the middle finger on your 3rd fret of your top string. Okay? And you're going to hit that note with a downstroke. Hey, did you get a packet? Did you find Renata? But you have one?
He's just gonna get his guitar.
Okay. I can't hear you though. Did you say you have a packet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Cool. How was your week?
That was
Or your 2 weeks since I saw you last?
I was like, NCAA.
Yeah? All right. Cool. Oh man. All right, guys. So here's how we're gonna do this. Ready? We're gonna do a downstroke with the first note, and then we're gonna go to our pinky and upstroke. Then we're gonna go to the next string, and it's gonna be pointer and pinky down and up. Then pointer, pinky, down and up. Pointer, ring finger, middle pinky, middle pinky. So essentially what I'm doing, you guys, is I'm assigning fingers like this. Look at 1 finger per fret. So the first string, or the first, the top string, what fingers do you think I'm going to use?
3rd, 4th.
Middle and pinky.
Middle and pinky.
What about the second string, the A string? What fingers am I going to use?
First finger.
First.
Pointer and pinky. Okay? The D string, what am I going to do? Pointer, pinky on the D string. The G string, the 4th string down, we're going to use pointer and ring. And the last two fingers, last two strings, what do you think I'm going to do? Middle pinky, middle pinky. You see? I'm not going to let my fingers cross the bar, ever. I'm going to sign it like that, okay? So it's going to look like this. Ready? Watch my pick now. Ready? What direction am I picking? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? I'm gonna get in a competition with you. Okay?
Okay.
You do down strokes on the first string as fast as you can, and I want to see if I can go faster. Who's going faster? You. I'm going faster because I'm going down and up, right? So some people like to do all down strokes when they're playing lead, but they're cutting their time in half. You can go way faster if you're doing down and up. Okay? All right, so what you're going to do this week is you're going to practice like this. Watch me. We're going to go all the way down. When you hit that last note, that's the end. And you tag the end and you immediately come back. Okay, watch. So it's like Olympic swimmers, right? When they get to the end of the pool, they just do a kickoff on the edge and then on the end they flip around real quick, okay? You're not going to double hit the last note, you're only going to hit it once. So like this, ready? And that's important that you remember not to double hit it, because you're going to time yourself eventually. We're going to have your classmates time you, because we're going to start tracking our time so we get faster and faster and faster. And if you're double hitting the last note, that's unnecessary. We don't have to count that. So only hit that last note one time. So hit the end and come right back around, okay? We're going to do that with all of the sections. Now I want to talk about section 2. You guys understand the fingering for section 1? Well, actually, before we move on, let's do this. I'm going to play some piano chords in the key of G, and you're going to solo in the key of G on your guitar. Just improvise on some notes on that first section and just see how it sounds.
Can I ask, sir?
Yeah.
On the first two strings, what's the
Middle finger and pinky on that first string, and then pointer and pinky on the second string, A string. Let's see what it sounds like. Did it work? Okay, now, what happens?
Breaking it down made me forget how to play.
So what?
You know, breaking it down made me forget how to play. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm using my old.
You're not just flowing.
Yeah.
Right. But this is going to help you, I think, to be a much more versatile player. Now, listen. What if I was going to play in a different key? Let's say the key of B. B as in boy. What would you do to get that section into the key of B? Now remember, we call it what section? Section 1. Why do we call it section 1?
Because it begins in that key.
Because
Because you
whatever
start
note
with
you
key.
started on is going to be the one in the key that you want to be in. So if you want to be in the key of B, what's the first note in the B major scale, or the key of B? B. So what you want to do is you want to start that first section on a B note. And that's going to be like this. Okay, open is E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B. 7th fret. So go up here and do that same section like this. Ready? Okay, raise your hand if you have a question. Let's do questions right now. Otherwise, we're gonna try it. Yep.
Does it have to be at the 7th fret? Can you start it on another string? Or
You have to at least position your section there. You can start on like the second string or third string, but the section has to be positioned. Let's test it out, okay? One fret, then it starts to sound a little weird. But here's what it should look like. Ready? You take this pattern exactly as it shows, but you shift it up to 7th fret, and you're gonna go like this. Ready? First top string, you're gonna go middle pinky, pointer pinky, pointer pinky, pointer ring, middle pinky, middle pinky. Did it sound good? I mean, did it sound like it fit?
yeah.
Okay, very good. We will review this. Everything we learn, we're going to review, so don't worry about it if like you only get 50%. Now, what I say is if you get 50% of what I say, we're in good shape, because then the next week you can kind of, review a little bit. Okay? Now let's flip the page to page 9. Called section 2. Why do you think it's called section 2?
The first note is the second note of the key.
It's the second note of the key, or of the major scale. So we're in the key of G. And so in the key of G, what is the second note? A.
A note.
It's an A note. And so we're going to start the second section on an A note. Okay? So you're going to put here's what I want you to do is take your pens, and I'm going to tell you what fingers to use. We're going to use this as 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's the weird one. This one's the hard one. It's the hardest section. These first 3 strings, ready? You're going to use 2 finger and then 4 finger. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. It's kind of nice that the first 3 strings are the same, right? Middle finger, pinky, middle finger, pinky, middle finger, pinky. And I'll show you. Like this, ready? So we start on the 5th fret, and we're going to use our middle finger and our pinky. Middle, pinky, middle, pinky, middle, pinky. Okay? What do you think you're going to use on your 4th string down? Pointer, pinky. Okay, now listen carefully. Shh, listen carefully. When you get to your second to last string, this is the only time out of all 5 sections that we're going to learn where you're going to have to shift your hand. And what you need to do is you need to put your pointer finger and your pinky 1 fret higher. And the last string is pointer and then ring.
The last string is
pointer and then ring. Ring finger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, I'll show you right in this video, so if you want to go watch it. It's 44 minutes exactly. And so you can go hunt that down if you want to see the fingering, okay? So it's middle, pinky. So we're going to start on the 5th fret. Yep. We're going to do middle, pinky, middle, pinky, middle, pinky, pointer, pinky, and then you're shifting. Pointer, pinky, pointer, ring. Okay. Ready? Watch one more time. By far, as I said, this is the hardest section. That's it. So if you can get this one, the other ones are easy. Let's do this together. Ready? We're going to go middle, pinky, middle, pinky, middle, pinky. this. Ready? Watch. We're gonna go middle pinky, middle pinky, middle pinky, and then pointer pinky. Okay? Now what do I do with my hand?
Shift it up.
Shift it 1 fret. And then we're gonna look at this. Watch. So this is the second to last string. We do pointer pinky, and then I'm gonna just bring my pointer finger right below and do pointer ring. Then we reverse it. You go exactly backwards, and we go. Okay. I can review this next week, so just practice it this week. It's no problem. We'll gradually learn it. And so we've got people who are kind of beginnerish levels. We have people who are kind of like definitely in the intermediate level, and that's okay. So all you got to do is just make sure that you're working on it and getting better, better than you were the previous week, and you'll be fine. Okay? Ready to go to the next section? Section 3. What fret do we start it on?
E.
C.
7. 7th fret, okay? And what we're going to do, guys, look at this, is we're going to assign 1 finger per fret. All right? So the first string, top string, what are we going to do? What numbers? 1 finger and 4 fingers. We're going to do 1, 4, 1, 4 on the first 2 strings. 1, 4, 1, 4. The 2 middle strings, what are we going to do?
1, 2, 3.
1, 3, 1, 3. And the bottom 2 strings, what are we going to do?
2, 4.
2, 4,
And
1, 4. Okay, so I'll say it for you. If you want to write it in, you can. Ready? Top string is 1, 4. Your A string is 1, 4. Your 2 middle strings are 1, 3, 1, 3. Your B string is 2, 4. And your bottom string is 1, 4. And so, Linda?
What were the B and the D and G strings again?
The D string is 1, 3, and the G string is 1, 3. Linda, you had a question?
In this part, I always wondered about this because there's a lot of slides when you're doing leads, and it's much easier to do it like this.
Sure.
But instead of, do you break the rules sometimes?
Yeah, especially when you're going vertically.
Yeah,
this way.
I'm just joining them.
Yep, you can absolutely change the fingering when you're going vertically. But when you're, I want you to have good habits when you should have, when they'll be helpful.
Okay.
And this is the point where you want to have good habits, right? You want to play it like this. And the reason is it's efficient to just assign 1 finger per fret, right? Instead of flipping around different fingers, just assign 1 finger per fret. 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4. Is that good? All right, now let's go to...
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just have a question. So the higher E, what finger is that?
You mean the bottom string? Is that what you're referring to? Yep, the high E, yep. That is 1, 4. Yep, 1, 4. The reason I just clarified is because sometimes when we say high E, people think it's like they're meaning like high this way, like that high. But that is the correct way to say it for sure.
Okay.
So, okay. Now let's go to the next section, section 5 on page 11. Starts on the 10th fret. And guess what finger we start with? 2. Okay, so this is great because it's symmetrical, right? So it's pretty self-evident, right? 2, 4, 2, 4. 1, 4, 1, 4. 2, 4, 2, 4. Got it? Question?
Yeah. I feel like like down here, the frets are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So I find it harder to play with my pinky.
Yeah.
My pinky goes too far. So.
Gotta get used to it. You gotta get.
Is it that much more efficient?
It is, because I'm gonna give you crazy exercises. Listen, man, when you get into like major scale and stuff, we're gonna be doing like. I mean, all these complicated exercises, and so you want to have like your fingers very efficient. So just trust me on that, okay? As time goes on, I mean, I'm gonna give you like. All kinds of exercises like that. So just try to stay strict with it, And your pinky's small, so you can do it. Yeah?
Is it important when you're doing this to keep your thumb behind the neck?
Not terribly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm standing up right now, so my technique is horrible, but like, I think it's
behind the neck thumb.
I think it's good to do that, and here's why. Because it gets you on your fingertip more.
Yes.
The more that your thumb goes this way, the less you are on your fingertip. So I do think it's good to stay in the back.
Okay.
And I typically have pretty good technique when I'm playing. When I'm sitting down, I'm way on the fingertips all the time. I'm not playing, like this. I am like, look at my calluses.
Yeah, I see.
They're right on the fingertips.
Yeah.
So
Also, you don't hurt your wrist that way, right? Because
Right.
your wrist is in the correct position.
Yep, I think it's much better. And then, we get to the sixth section of page 12. Go ahead and take a look at that. And that's pretty self-evident, right? 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4. Now, when we solo, here's what we do. You want to think about those 5 sections as like train cars in a long line of, a train. Section 1's here, section 2, section 3, section 5, and section 6. When you're playing and someone else is playing chords in the key of G, you can solo on any of those sections at any time that you want. You don't have to start on the first one, you can start on the 6th one. Then you can hop right to the 3, then you can hop to the 2, then hop to the 5. Doesn't matter, because essentially what they're doing, remember, how many different notes are there in the pentatonic scale?
5.
All it is repeating those same 5 notes in different places. That's all it is, okay? So it doesn't matter where you're at. All right, so here's what we're going to learn to do. I want you to memorize these sections, and I want you to go home, and I want you to practice them, and go down and up on each of the sections. Every day, practice them, and we're going to get faster and faster and faster. I eventually want you to get down to 4 seconds. It might take you 1.5 minutes the first time, and it speeds up quickly, but you got to practice every day. Then once you get good at this, what you can do is you can start to improvise. Slide up into the second section. 3 section. 5. 6. 'What I'm saying? So you can just bob around from all these different sections. So what you'll do, my guess is that in about a month, a lot of you guys will be down to like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Some of you will be under 4. Maybe 1 or 2 of you might even be under 3 seconds. Okay?
Can you talk about slides? I always have difficulty. How do you go between the sections? How do you think about going between the sections?
Yeah.
Is there a common place, like for example, in the first section, and move up to the second section?
You should do it on any string. So what we do, guys, listen. Once you get this pentatonic scale down this way, soloing down and up like this, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you start to do single string solos. where basically, instead of thinking about your pentatonic scale this way and this way, you're just going to do pentatonic notes up and down. So if you go back to, what was it, page 9? Page 7. You'll just start to learn to solo vertically. Okay? So what you do is you kind of just start going like this. See what I'm doing? I'm going up and down, soloing vertically on each of the 6 strings. So what you want to be able to do eventually is solo like a bumblebee. Bumblebees just kind of like go all over the place, right? Up, down, left, right, all over. I mean, you want to be able to kind of basically bounce all over the place. Okay? So, but first, we're going to do one thing at a time. First thing, memorize. My voice is going to go if you guys keep playing while I'm singing. Because actually, you know what, this is like the 4th hour of talking today. So I have to, when I'm talking, try to keep it down a little bit so that I can keep talking, right?
Can we just have, sorry, can I request that we just have a rule where when you talk, nobody plays?
Yeah.
Can we just do that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. When I'm talking, then we don't be playing, okay? Cool. Just because there's a lot of people in here too, and I have to yell all the way to the back. So you guys see how that works? So step number 1, you're going to go home this week and memorize the 5 sections. And every day when you practice, you're going to start by going down and up on each of the sections. How are you going to be picking? Down, up, 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 down, up. Right? Okay, then what we're going to do after that is maybe a month down the road, I'll have you begin to start soloing vertically. Once you can do that, you're ready for soloing all over the place. That means you know 100% every pentatonic note on the entire guitar note. Don't you think that's better than learning that one little section? And not only that, but we're going to learn on theory, so you're going to know how to use all this stuff in a really good way. For example, take your pens, and I want you to write down these chords. I'm going to give you 4 chords. Just find some random place, some scratch sheet. You can write it very small, doesn't matter. Write down F sharp, and then write down G sharp minor, B, and then E. In the real world, don't say what key it's in, if you know it. In the real world, if you want to solo on the pentatonic scale with those chords, you got to figure out what key it's in, right? And so how do you figure out what key it's in? You see, if you can't figure that out, it doesn't matter if you know your pentatonic scale, right? Because you don't even know how to align your scale to make it fit. So Gloria, do you know what key that's in? The key of B, that's right. So she took the beginner class and we went over this theory stuff already. But it is in the key of B, and so what would you do with your first section? Where would you put your first section?
B.
On a B note, right? 7th fret. Where would you put your second section?
In the 9th.
The 9th fret.
Right.
Where would you put your third section?
11th.
11th, right? So you see how it kind of builds up like that, right? But we need to understand the theory if we're ever going to use this thing. Okay? So that's what we're going to do right now. Let me check and see how much time we've got. We've got 27 minutes or so? Is that right?
It's 2:33.
Okay. And we're done at 3, right? Yes. Okay. Do you guys want to get into a fast run over on music theory?
Yes.
It's so important. So important. Who here has already a decent foundation in music theory? Raise your hand if you know how to find the chords in a key. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, we're going to make this quick and make sure you guys have it thoroughly, because this is what we're going to be talking. We're going to use this terminology all the time in this class because theory is so important. Okay? All right. Page 13, there's going to be 3 parts. Right here. How to find the notes in a key. Part 2 is how to create major, minor, and diminished chords. And part 3 is how to find the chords in a key. If you can get to part 3, how to find the chords in the key, then if somebody starts playing some chords, or you look at a chord chart, you should be able to figure out what key that's in pretty quick. All right? Now, underneath this 1 here, I want you to write G. Okay. How many notes are there in total?
In total, 8.
In like all together in existence? 12. There's 12 different notes. There's C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. 12 notes. And then it goes back to C, which is the octave. Does everybody understand that concept? Okay. Which notes don't have sharps?
B.
E and B. That's right. And you need to know that. Super important. Everything else has a sharp. If you don't know that, what we're going to talk about here is going to be complicated, and you're going to have to go home and kind of wrestle with it a little bit. Okay, number 1, underneath number 1, well, write the letter G. Okay, that's a G note, and we're going to figure out the notes in the key of G. To figure out the notes in a key, there are 7 notes in a key. There are 12 notes total, so how many notes are off limits?
5.
There's 5 notes that you can't hit. So if I'm playing in the key of C, raise your hand if you find something that sounds bad. Those 5 notes right there. Sounds hideous, right? And so what you need to do with music theory is you need to find which 7 notes fit in the key and which 5 are off limits. So here's how it works. It's easy because the same pattern applies in every key. So if G is the first note, what you need to do is you need to go whole steps between all of the numbers except in 2 places, and I put a little triangle to represent where you're going to have a half step. So if G is the first note, what is the second note? It's got to be a whole step forward.
A.
Okay, so we skip G sharp. G sharp is a half step away, right? We go to A. From 2 to 3, second note to the third note is a whole step. And what is a whole step from A?
B.
B. We skipped A sharp, right? B is the third note, so write that down. From 3 to 4, how far is it?
Half step.
Half step. In every key, 3 to 4 is a half step. What's a half step from B?
C.
C, right? C down is 4. The fourth note in the key of G is C. Fifth note is a whole step?
D.
D.
No, C. Oh, yeah, D.
D. Yeah. D is the 5. A whole step to the 6 is E. E is the 6. A whole step to the 7 is
F sharp.
F sharp.
Why is it F sharp?
Because E doesn't have a sharp, remember?
Oh, okay.
So E and F are actually a half step apart. And then we go to F sharp. And then 7 to 8 is a half step, and that brings you to where?
Back to G.
F sharp is a 7, so it brings you back to G. So write this down, ready? We have the numbers. 1 is G, 2 is A, 3 is B, 4 is C, 5 is D, 6 is E, 7 is F sharp, and 8 is G. Okay? All right, that's the first part of the 3 parts of music theory. Now, what I'd like you guys to do, this is going to be very hard, but I would like you to gather around the piano. Can you do it? Drop your guitar, put your guitar down just really gently and don't knock it over. Just, okay. It's best to learn this next part on a piano. Lena, could you do me a favor? Could you hold this so that it actually shows the piano? That way, you know, when we go home, you guys can take a look at it.
I can see them.
Yep, that's perfect. You can see perfectly. I'd put it against the chair. Yeah, on an angle. Yeah. Okay, so here's how it works. If we look at our document, Does anyone have the document with you? Yeah, there we go. Cool. I'll take that one actually. So watch this, guys. There's 3 types of chords we're going to talk about: a major chord, a minor chord, and a diminished chord. Okay? If you go up to the top, these are all a half step apart. Doesn't matter if they're black, white, they're all half step apart. Half step, half step, half step, half step, half step, half step. If you skip a half step and go to the next note, what is that?
A whole step.
Whole step. That's a whole step. That's a whole step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step. If you go a whole step and then you go another half step, how far is that?
A step and a half.
That's 1.5 steps, yeah? How far is this?
Two steps.
Yeah. Half, whole, 1.5, 2. How about this?
1, 2.
2.
2. 1.5.
1.5. Okay, good. So if we got that concept down, we should be good. Now, a major chord, the most basic way to play a major chord is with 3 notes. Okay? You just go and just drop it like this. The thing is, look at that pattern right there. It says 2 whole steps, and then it has a semicolon, and then it says 1.5 steps. That means if you're going to play a major chord, whatever note you start on, you have to have 2 whole steps between these 2. And then you have to have 1.5 steps between these 2. And that, by definition, is a major chord. And we're going to try it. Ready? C. How far do I need to go to make a major chord from C?
No, E.
You see, it says? What does it say?
So 2 whole steps.
2 whole steps, so that's 1 whole step and then 2 whole steps. Okay, from this note, jumping forward, how far do I need to go? What does it say?
1.5 steps.
Okay, half, whole, 1.5. That's a major chord. And every major chord is formed the same way. It doesn't matter. It just depends on what note you start on. Let's say if we start on a B. If I want to play a B major chord, how far do I have to jump forward now?
2 whole steps.
1 whole step, 2 whole steps. How far do I jump to the next note?
1.5 step.
1.5. See? Every major chord in the world follows that pattern. Now, minor chord flip-flops those gaps. So you do 1.5 steps first, then you do 2 whole steps. Okay? So if we're going to do a C minor, we start on a C, and then how far do we go?
1.5 step.
Half step, whole step, 1.5 steps. And then how far do I go from this? 1.5. We already did that, and we go 2 whole steps. So 2 whole steps. 1, 2. That sounds minor. It sounds sad, right? What if I want to do an F sharp minor? There's an F sharp. How far do I go forward?
Step and a half.
1.5. And then how far do I go?
2 whole steps.
1, 2. See? So the pattern works that way. Every major chord in the world has 2 whole steps, then 1.5. Every minor chord in the world has 1.5 and then 2 whole steps. Diminished is just 1.5 and 1.5. So if we're going to do a C diminished, 1.5, 1.5. Listen to this. That's why we don't use that in songs, because it sounds like a circus, right? It's a little weird.
It's suspenseful.
Sounds very suspenseful. Absolutely. Okay, so you see how that works? So technically, I think there might be some people here who don't know the notes on the piano, which is fine, because we're not in a piano class. However, if you remember these concepts and you go home this week and you just look on go to like Google Images and say notes on a piano scale. And it's going to show you this is a C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. I mean, it'll show you, and then you can just try to like fiddle around with this if you want. But I think visually it helps you to see how these chords are set up, okay? All right, so you guys can sit down. Thanks, Linda, for holding that. Okay, this back here. This theory stuff is going to help you with songwriting too. So that's cool. Okay, now we've done 2 of the 3 parts of music theory. The third part, number 1, we figured out how to find the notes in a key, didn't we? Did we? Yeah, and we'll review it too. So don't worry. We'll go over it again next week. We'll just do a quick review. Part 2, we figured out what is a major chord, what is a minor chord, what is a diminished chord. Now we're into part 3, and this finishes the music theory. Part 3, what we're going to do is we're going to find the chords in the key of G. How many notes are there in the key of G? 7 different notes. How many chords are in the key of G? 7. So go down, and what I want you to do right here is write the notes in the key of G again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. You guys are doing great. It's good stuff. And this is, we're just laying foundation today from which we're going to launch off of in this class. But this is the foundation, this theory stuff. Okay? So, now, number 1, the first chord in the key of G, it's built off of the G note. So it's going to be some kind of G chord. It'll be either G major, G minor, or G diminished. Okay? Now, how do you know which chord fits? Well, if I went to the piano and I played each one of those chords, G major, G minor, G diminished, and I told you the note names for each one of those chords, the only one that's going to fit in the key of G is the one that uses only notes on the scale of G. Did that make sense? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll tell you the names, or the note names, in each chord. And you look on that scale, and you see which one of the 3 chords fits on that scale. Okay, here's G diminished. G, A sharp, C sharp.
Yes.
2 of those notes don't fit. So what we can say is G diminished is not in the key of G. G, let's do G minor. G, A sharp, D. What doesn't fit?
A sharp.
A sharp doesn't fit, therefore G minor is not in the key of G. Alright? G major, G, B, D.
Yep.
What number notes are those?
1, 3, 5.
1 through 5. So G major is in the key of G, and if you want to write a song in the key of G, you can use G major. You can't use G minor. So underneath G, I want you to write vertically the word major. Write it right there, vertically, major. And it used the 1, the 3rd, and the 5th notes. You see how it did a leapfrog thing there? The second chord is going to be some kind of A. It'll be either A major, A minor, or A diminished. Only one of them is going to fit. And guess what? We're going to use the same leapfrogging pattern. 2nd note, 4th note, 6th note. Tell me what the 2nd note is. What's the 4th note?
C.
No, I think I lost you right there. Why are we going to the 2nd, 4th?
It just happens to be that way.
Okay.
So I'm just saying it just happens to be that way.
E.
A, C, and E. What does that sound like? Happy or sad? That's sad. It's a minor chord. Now look at the spacing between the 2nd note and the 5th note. How far is that? 2, 2nd and 4th.
It's 1.5.
And from 4th to 6th note, how far is that?
2.
Two
So when I play those 3 notes together, what kind of chord am I making?
Minor.
It's a minor. So the 2nd chord in the key of G is A minor. So write minor vertically underneath A. You want to write a song in the key of, say what?
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to write a song in the key of G, you can use G major or A minor. Those are 2 of the chords. Now let's look at the 3rd chord. Take a guess of what notes we're going to use in the 3rd chord.
Minor.
3rd note, the 5th note, and 7th note, right? And if you look at the spacing, right? If you look at the spacing, it makes it a minor. The spacing between the 3rd note and the 5th note is how far?
1.5 steps.
And the spacing between the 5th note and the 7th note is how far? 2 whole steps. Okay, so the 3rd chord in the key of G is B minor, and you can, if you're writing a song in the key of G, you can use the B minor. Okay? You couldn't use B major. B major would use a note outside of the key of G. Okay? 4th chord in the key of G is some kind of C. Yep, C major. He uses 4, 6, and 8, right? And you look at the spacing, you can see that.
Right.
Okay, 5th chord in the key of G is some kind of D chord, and it's going to be D. What notes?
D, F,
D, F sharp, and A.
D minor?
It's D minor, right? Look at the spacing. Sorry, no, it's D major. Sorry, sorry. I don't have a pen right now, so I'm just doing all this. Yeah, it's D major. Because from the D to the F sharp is how far?
Oh, that's 2.
It's 2
That's
whole
right.
steps,
I
yeah.
got mixed up there.
Yep. If you did this, if you continue this on, the 6th chord is minor, 7th chord is diminished. Major and minor.
Is the 7th
don't
chord always diminished?
Always.
It is, right? I remember
Always.
that from your last class.
Yep, always. Guess what, folks? If you were to take a white out and erase those letter names right now, and kept those chord names, and you put a different key there, would the chords stay the same? Would the 1 chord still be a major? Would the 2 still be a minor? 3 be a minor?
Yes.
You would.
Yes.
So guess what? All you have to do is memorize which numbers are major, which ones are minor, which one's diminished. So I want you to take a minute right now, and I want you to memorize it. Memorize which ones are major. Memorize which ones are minor.
So is the 3-chord minor or major?
Minor.
C was minor?
So G, C, 1, 4, and 5 are major.
1, 4. Right.
2, 3, and 6 are minor. 7's diminished. This, I guarantee, is one of the most pivotal things you'll need to learn and memorize. You will not be able to progress in 90% of the things ahead of you without memorizing this. That I tell you right now. It's a guarantee.
Good thing you have the video.
Yes. Yep. And you know what? We're going to go over it again next week and a little bit the week after, just briefly.
Yeah.
And I don't expect everyone is going to get all this right off the bat. So if you've got 50% of it, we're good. And then we're going to build to 70, to 90, to 100. You guys ready for this? So what we're going to do now is we're going to think about a new key. Close your packet. Which numbers were major? 1, 4, and 5. 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. Those are major. 2, 3, and 6 are minor. 7 is diminished. Where are your half steps?
3, 4, 7, 8.
3 to 4, 7, and 8. All right, take your pen now, and I want you to, you can do this on the back sheet, even right here. I want you to write the numbers again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I want you to put the little, you know the little triangle marks? Put that where it needs to go. There's 2 of them. Got to remember where the half steps are. Now, I want you to write down all the chords in the key of D. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do this right now. I think you should try, and for those who can, cool. Now, think through the rules. Number 1 chord in the key of D. What's the first note in the key of D?
D.
Right.
Okay. And do you remember what kind of chords 1 chords are?
Major.
Major, so write D major. If you want to write a song in the key of D, D major is totally cool. D minor's out. Think about it. What's the 2nd chord in the key of D? You've got to go a whole step forward. What note would that lead you
E.
to? E, some kind of E chord.
Minor.
What kind of chords are 2? They're minor.
Minor.
Minor. So E minor is in the key of D. Write that down. From E minor, which is a 2, how far do you go to the 3rd chord? Is it a whole step or a half step? It's a whole step from 2 to 3, which brings you to what note?
F sharp.
F sharp. And what kind of chords are 3 chords?
Minor.
Minor. F sharp minor is the 3rd chord. How far is it from 3 to 4?
Half step.
Half step, which brings you to what note?
G.
G. And what kind of chords are 4 chords?
Major.
Major. G major is the 4 chord. What's the 5 chord? It's a major, and it's a whole step forward, which would be A major. From 5 to 6 is how far? It's a whole step. It would be B minor. B minor is a 6. How far is it to the 7? It's a whole step to C sharp, and 7s are what? Diminished. There you go. There's your 7 chords in the key of G. No, what are we in? D. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
As far as the formula for diminished, if I was doing this C sharp diminished, I would follow what we just talked about.
1.5 and 1.5. Yeah. But you'd have to learn the form for diminished. But truth of the matter is, we barely ever play diminished chords in songs. We just don't like it. A lot of people don't like that sound. It sounds a little eerie. So typically, you just play the first 6 chords. So when you want to write a song, you get to use those first 6 chords typically. And I will tell you, the most popular chords, if you went to the top 100 songs right now, and you boiled it down with music theory, 90% of those chords would be the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords. Those are the most popular chords. 1, 4, 5, 6. And I want you to write that down, because you want to remember that. And they'll flip-flop those chords to go 6, 4, 5, 1, or 1, 5, 6, 4. Let's listen to the progressions, okay? 1, 6, 4, 5. There's a chord on this chord's on. It's a cool song. Okay? How about 6, 4, 1, 5? Right? How about name another variation.
1, 5, 4, 6.
1, 5, 4, 6. There's tons and tons of variations, and I bet if you were to actually analyze some of the songs that you might be listening on Spotify or the radio or whatever, if you would take this theory, figure out what key it's in, boil it down to numbers, the odds are most of the song is 1s, 4s, 5s, and 6 chords. And so, pretty cool stuff. Now, because you did all that hard work, we get to go to page 15. This is great. We've got 3 minutes left, and this is just perfect, okay? Now, go like this. Go like that. Put your thumbs in. We're going to only have 8 fingers up. What I want you to do is I want you to drop, imagine this is the 1 chord, 2, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, 8 chord. Drop all of the numbers that, or only leave the majors up. Only leave the majors up. Right now. 1. Yep, 1. So this stays up. 2's got to go. 3's got to go. 4 and 5 are majors. Leave those up. 6 is minor. 7's diminished. So we have this, right? 1 and 8 are the same. So let's drop 8. We don't need to double it. Now these are your major chords. 1 and then 4 and 5 are the twins. Okay? Now if I showed you a chord progression and you didn't know what key it's in, if you wanted to figure out what key it's in, you know what you would do? You would look for the major chords. And when you see 3 major chords, you would try to figure out which ones are twins and sitting right next to each other. And you know that's the 4 and the 5. And then the other one is 1. So let's try this. Ready? Top chord progression on page 15. If you saw a chord progression or someone started jamming on the guitar and they're playing G, C, D, E minor, what key would you solo in?
G.
G.
Yeah.
Because look, what are the 3 major chords that you see?
G, C, D. Yeah.
C and D are 4 and 5, so the other one is G. So you solo in G. Next one, C, F, G, A minor. Stop for a second and think it through. Where are the 3 major chords? C, F, G, Where are the twins? What are the two twins?
F and G.
F and G, so what key is it in?
C.
C. So you solo in C. See that? Pretty cool, huh?
No. So why would you solo in C?
Because F and G
Are the two
the
twins,
4 and the 5.
Right.
So the only other major chord in the key has to be the 1. Because how many major chords are there in a key?
How many major chords
Are there in a key?
in key 3?
There are, and it's only 1, 4, and 5. And so if you see 3 major chords and you figure out which ones are the 4 and the 5, the other one has to be
Oh, the
It's
other
the
one
key.
automatically is the
yeah.
key.
The
Okay.
other one's the key, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's try the next one. D, G, A, B minor. What are the 3 major chords?
D, G,
D, G, A, and which ones are the 4 and the 5?
G,
G and A, and so what key is it in?
D,
So
D.
D.
Yep, so you solo in the key of D, right? The next one is D, E, A, F sharp minor. What are the 3 major chords?
D, E, A.
D, E, A. Which ones are the twins?
D,
D and E are the 4 and the 5, and A is the key. So you solo in the key of A. You see how that goes?
Yeah.
Now, I have
If it's not a twin.
15 seconds left, so let me talk about intermediate. Look at the top chord progression. F, G, A minor, A minor. They did not use the 1 in that key. Look at the F and the G. They're major chords, aren't they?
Would it be E?
It's not E. Hold on a second. So F and G, because they're a whole step apart, what numbers are they?
4, 5.
When you see major chords that are a whole step apart, it's the 4 and the 5. So you know F is 4. So you'd have to use your theory
I can go back
to
to
go
the one.
backwards, exactly, and find the 1. And when you did that, what key is it in? I think someone said it back
C.
there.
C.
C. That's exactly it. You see how that works?
A minor is the 6th.
Great.
You use the same, that works all the way through intermediate, and the advanced, I'll just do one with you. Look at advanced. E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A. E and A are the majors, but they're not next to each other, so you don't know which one is the 1. You have to use a different type of logic. The minor chords, there's 3 minor chords, right? And there's one place where there's 2 minor chords right next to each other. What numbers? 2 and 3. Now when I see F sharp minor and G sharp minor, how far are they apart from each other?
A whole step.
So that's got to be what numbers?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Which one's a 2?
F, F.
F sharp minor. So if F sharp minor is 2, what's 1?
E.
You go back a whole step and it's E. That's it.
I'm gonna marinate on that.
Okay, so you guys definitely have to marinate on that, right? So here's what I would expect. I would expect that some of us are sitting at 50% understanding and 50% confusion, which is fine. It's just the first week. I took you through a whole semester of music theory in like what? I mean, we started that like 20 minutes ago. All right? It's okay if we have to do some review and we have to work through it. But that is all the theory I have to teach you, basically. That's the gist of it. Okay? So we're done. Give yourselves a round of applause for getting through a lot of material. Okay, so review the theory. And if you're confused when you come back next week, guess what? Piece of cake. We're just going to kind of do a quick review again. I want you to memorize the 5 sections of the pentatonic scale this week and practice the rhythms. Have a good week, guys.
Do you recommend like a practice schedule?
Practice schedule?
Or like what you would do with 15 minutes?
Yeah. If I had 15 minutes to practice, I would start off running the 5 sections of the pentatonic scale. Down and up on the 1 section, down and up on the 2 section, 3, 5, 6. I would go to rhythm then, and then I would just take my theory on the train. And I would just practice the theory on the train. Because you don't need any instrument to be doing that. So, have fun, guys.
Thank you.